This is an ABC News special report. Now reporting, George Stephanopoulos.
And we are coming on the air right now awaiting new information about the death of the legendary musician Prince. He was found dead in his home just outside Minneapolis yesterday, and we're about to hear a press conference from Sheriff Jim Olson of the Carver County Sheriff's Office outside Minneapolis right now with all the information they can share with the public. An autopsy was performed on the musician today. Although it may take some time to get the final results of that autopsy, we do expect to learn something from the sheriff on how the body was found yesterday and what they can share with the public right now. We're going to show the podium right there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Martha, M-A-R-T-H-A, Weaver, W-E-A-V as in Victor, E-R, spokesperson for Midwest Medical Examiner's Office. That
was the examiner's office who did the autopsy today.
Welcome to Carver County.
Sheriff
I wish
Jim
it was
Olson.
under different circumstances. This is a tragedy for all of us. To you, Prince Rogers Nelson was a celebrity. To us, he's a community member and a good neighbor. To his family, he is a loved one. In life, he was a very private person. We're going to continue to respect his privacy and his dignity and hope that you will do as well. And hope that you do as well. We also respect the media's right to information. Bear in mind that this incident happened about 29 hours ago and continues to be under investigation. There are some things regarding this investigation that I will not be able to talk about. I'm going to give you a statement, and we will then take some questions that you may have. At about 9:43 yesterday morning, we received a medical call at Paisley Park in Chanhassen. Chanhassen Fire, the Carver County Sheriff's Office, and Ridgeview Ambulance all responded to the call. That is our standard protocol, and it's not unusual at all for us to have everybody respond to a medical like that. They found an unresponsive male in the elevator. CPR was initially started, but was unsuccessful. He was pronounced deceased at 10:07. We have identified him as Prince Rogers Nelson, 57 years old. Staff members from Paisley Park had been unable to contact Prince yesterday morning and went to check on him. They found him unresponsive and called 911. Deputies went through the building to make sure that there was nobody else inside. Because this was an unwitnessed death of a middle-aged adult, the decision was made to process the scene. That is also normal protocol. It is not different from what we normally would do. There should be no, we ended up contacting the Hennepin County Crime Lab to help us with that, and there should be no inference taken from that. It's not unusual for them to come out and do those types of calls. We finished with our processing late yesterday afternoon and turned Paisley Park back over to Prince's representatives. Again, because this investigation is ongoing, I will not be answering questions on whether or not there are any items that were taken during our processing. The Midwest Medical Examiner's Office was contacted, and Dr. Quinn Strobel, who is the Carver County Medical Examiner, responded. There were no obvious signs of trauma on the body at all. The body was transported to Dr. Strobel's office for an autopsy, and that is being done today. Results from that autopsy may take several weeks, which is not unusual. Again, this will continue to be an open investigation until the autopsy results come back, and we are ready to take questions that you may have.
Sheriff Olson, Hannah Thomas-Peter from Sky News.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the 911 callers said that there were people in the home who were distraught. Could you tell us any more about who was in the home with Prince at the time of his death?
There were some staff members that were there that had went to check on him, and that's all I'm going to respond to with that at this time.
Was there a suicide note found?
I am not responding to any kind of questions regarding what may have been taken. We have no reason to believe at this point that this was a suicide. But again, this is early on in this investigation, and it's continuing to, we're continuing to investigate.
Sheriff,
Any indication of how long he had been in that elevator? Had he been wearing the clothes from the night before? Was he wearing new clothes?
We have not received that information from the medical examiner's office at this time. It had not been in the couple of minutes before first responders had arrived.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
And it had not been within the couple of minutes before the first responders had arrived, though, with that.
Sheriff, you said he's a very private person, or was a
Yeah.
very private person. Was he a healthy person?
I'm not the right one to answer that. We'll let the medical examiner talk about that when that time comes.
Sheriff,
With regard to 421, yesterday, were there any medical calls made to that address in the weeks before?
I have checked calls for service in our log for that address, as well as for in Prince's name directly. There were no calls involving Prince in the past year that we have had. Paisley Park, Prince does some concerts there sometimes and get-togethers and so on. So it's not unusual for us to receive calls at Paisley Park itself. There was nothing that I'm aware of that involved Prince directly at Paisley Park. Sir, go ahead.
From BBC News.
Yes.
Are you able to confirm whether Prince was taking any medication at the time of his death?
I am not able to confirm that at this time at all.
Sheriff, could I ask you a question over here?
Sure,
I
sir.
don't know if you can explain to us, give us an idea of what the investigation will entail now, what types of people, I know you're not going to give us specifics, but what types of people will you be interviewing? Because I know this is a long, detailed process. It's more than just what happens today with the body.
Yeah, we'll be talking to people that are close to him. We'll be gathering some medical records and taking a look at those between us and the medical examiner's office and working off of that from there.
Sheriff, when you say staff members were inside the home,
Yes.
were they there before he collapsed in the elevator? Is there a timeline for how long he may have been home by himself? Do you have any of that information so far?
They were trying to reach him yesterday morning, and were unable to reach them. Reach Prince. So they responded to Paisley Park to look for him and found him unresponsive in the elevator.
So he was alone at home?
That is correct. Yeah, we did not, we did clear and go through the residence at the time and did not find anybody else there.
Sheriff, Derek Hinkle, AFP. I'm wondering, are you cooperating with any other jurisdictions, and are you looking at all into the flight that had an immediate return to Illinois?
We will be looking at all of that. Yes.
Can you tell me what you've done so far, or you're just looking into it?
Our detectives, this is 29 hours old, our detectives are currently working on this case, so there are things that they are working on.
Are you cooperating with any other jurisdictions?
Yes, of course we are.
Sure.
We always cooperate with them.
If I could ask a clarification, you said
Sure.
that there were no calls involving Prince in the last year. Are you aware of any hospital visits that he may have had recently?
There are no calls involving the Carver County Sheriff's Office that I'm aware of.
I know you said you wouldn't get specific about things that were taken out of the home, but was there medication taken out of the home?
Again, I'm not going to get specific on what was taken or was not taken from the home.
Sure. Do you know if there have been these reports that he could have been on some sort of medication, Percocet, things like, have you gotten any evidence of that? Have you talked to anyone about that?
This case is currently under investigation, and I'm not going to talk about that at this time.
Do you have records from Mullen, Illinois, as well as his pharmaceutical records locally?
We will be, between us and the medical examiner's office, we will be looking at all of that, yes.
All the records.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are reports that he frequented a local Walgreens several times in the past week. Have you been there to talk to the employees there? Have you pulled any surveillance video, and what have they said?
That is part of the investigation, and that would be our normal protocol, certainly, to pull any type of video or so on. So that's not what I said. I said that would be our normal protocol. This case is 29 hours old, and it continues to evolve for us. So,
Sheriff, how detailed are your crime scene investigators?
excuse me.
Sorry, Sheriff. How detailed are your crime scene investigators working in this processing this scene? Can you kind of talk to us about how meticulous you guys are working and who's helping out?
Well, Hennepin County Crime Lab is helping us from a processing standpoint, and they are meticulous. That is what they do. So they are very meticulous. photos and so on.
Is there any indication of how long he was in the elevator? Had it been overnight, do you believe?
You know, we're going to wait for the medical examiner's office to give us some of that information. And I've cut somebody off over here. Yeah, ma'am, I'm sorry.
It's actually a question for the medical examiner, so.
Sure. And she's the public information officer. She's not the medical examiner.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so is there any sign of a drug or prescription drug overdose found at the studio?
There's no information at this time in regard to exactly what you're talking about as part of the investigation. Let me give you a little bit of background about Midwest Medical Examiners. We are working as part of the investigative team with the Sheriff's Office, so much of the answers that I will be able to give you today will include the word pending. So we received the call at 10:12 yesterday morning to come and assist the Carver County Sheriff's Office in this investigation. Our chief medical examiner arrived on the scene at 11:30 yesterday morning, local time, and was on the scene for several hours. The autopsy this morning began at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time and concluded at 1 p.m. And just shortly, I received word that his body did leave Midwest Medical Examiner's office and was released to the family. As you know, it was a very meticulous exam. It was a complete exam. And so several of the pieces of information that are gathered in that process will be sent to labs for further testing. So that answer is pending, and it will take days and weeks to complete those particular investigations.
Mom, is it possible to say when he died? I know time of death was pronounced at 7 minutes past 10, but had he been dead overnight in the elevator, do you know when he actually stopped breathing?
That information is pending.
Do you know what time he was removed from the building then, from Paisley Park? Do you know what time he was removed?
15:39.
That's when he left Paisley Park to go to your place?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question over here?
Yes, my question is for the sheriff. WCCO Radio. Was there any extra people brought in because this was Prince, or any extra deputies or anything like that different because of because it was Prince?
There were a number of people that started gathering across the street very early, as well as media. So yes, we certainly did bring other people in to help from a crowd control standpoint and to assist us with that. As far as from a scene processing standpoint, it's a very large area, Paisley Park is, so we had to bring a couple extra people in, and that was part of the reason also for having Hennepin County assist us with that.
You had to search room to room, is that what you're talking about?
Sheriff Jim Olson of the Carver County Sheriff's
yeah.
Office giving the details he can give right now about the death of Prince yesterday at the age of 57. Although the sheriff said this is an open investigation, that he can't answer most questions right now, pending the final results on the autopsy and more investigation by his officers. We have been able to learn some new details about the death of Prince. He was declared dead at 10:07 yesterday morning after the police received a call at 9:43, a 911 call from staff members who had tried to reach Prince that day but had been only able to reach him. Apparently Prince was home alone at that time. The only thing the sheriff was able to say pretty definitively was that he does not believe this was a suicide, but so many other questions pending the final results from the autopsy from the medical examiner's office, which could take several weeks, they said. I want to go to Lindsay Davis, who's outside Paisley Park, the Prince estate, where of course people have been pouring out over the last 24 hours to pay tribute to Prince, to express their love.
You're exactly right. And we have seen these spontaneous dance parties just erupting in the streets in many places across the country. And there's kind of a celebratory feeling, or a tribute, paying tribute to him. But that's not the case here. Here it's extremely somber, it's quiet. People seem to be reflecting on his life. His sister was among those of the thousands that have been coming here yesterday. She just wanted to thank the fans. But in those who are coming, it's this cross-section. You have the young and old, you have black and white. People are bringing their children just to witness this moment and this occasion. They're wearing purple, they're bringing purple, they have balloons and flowers and cards. And when you talk to the people about why they are here, many of them will say that they just felt they needed to come, that Prince, even though many of them never met him, that they felt that they knew him and that he was a community member. Here's a guy who sold more than 100 million records worldwide, but he was born in Minneapolis, he died in Minneapolis, he never left. You know, he had many houses other places, but this was home, and they just wanted to thank him for that.
Never left home, but had such an impact all over the world. Lindsay Davis, thanks very much. We'll have much more tonight on World News Tonight. And a 2020 special tonight, Prince, the Legend, the Mystery. That's at 10 Eastern. I'm George Stephanopoulos in New York. Have a good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.